Good evening, race fans. I'm Pirate here with Black Flag Racing TV, and I'm here for one thing and one thing only. It's the GT Champions World Cup, baby! Hell yeah! And we kick off proceedings this evening from Division 3. Strange we start with Division 3. That's because simultaneously, over in the other studio next door, I'm waving at Tatiana right now. Tatiana is broadcasting Division 1 in Studio 2 next door. And yes, before you even ask, yes, I have got a squeaky voice. Yes, I did lose my voice this week. And I had to basically stop broadcasting from sort of Wednesday onwards to get my voice back, and I've got it to this. This is the best you're going to get, and I will occasionally break into a coughing fit and have to take a drink, and I'm basically drinking like a mush of hot water and lemon and honey, and that's all I've basically put inside my body, also my throat, for the last couple of days. It's awful, but moving on, I will squeak at you for the next 90 minutes of balls out action. So sponsored by Metropolis, this is the GT Champions World Cup number 5, round number 1 at Laguna Seca in the Dodge Viper GT4. What an awesome race car that is. Where are we? We're here, the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. That sounded so weird, didn't it, when I said it like that? Awesome racetrack. I absolutely love this racetrack. Not a track I'm particularly good at, but it is absolutely great fun. And there is certainly some really good overtaking opportunities here. What's important? Well, tyre and fuel management is very important. The races have been extended to 90-minute races for this Season 5. And this is the first of just 10 races. But without further ado, let's get in the lobby and see who we have got in action today. If you know already, I'm Empire, and this is the GTC World Cup. So this is round number 1. We are here at Laguna Seca. We did the qualifying, you may have seen it last week at Deep Forest in that brilliant attendance GT3. And you may also have seen the following day, our very own Chris gets himself into D1. Congratulations for that. Wasn't expecting it, but it is very nice. Made it into Division 1. Yeah, 25th of March, that's today. Laguna Seca in the Viper. Then we hop across to Barcelona without a chicane for the RS01 on the 1st of April. And then on the 8th of April, we go Easter egg hunting instead of racing. So we're all going to go and hide eggs around the garden and then find them all and eat all the children's chocolate. That's essentially what we're going to do on the 8th of April. Then the Red Bull Ring in the McGann for the 15th. 15th. Spa 24 hour in the brilliant Ferrari 458. Brands Hatch in the M4 at the end of April. Then Nürburgring in the Aston Martin DBR. Great car. And then one of my favourite racetracks, Big Willow in the Corvette, followed by Monza in the Lamborghini. Then Grand Valley Highway in number 1 in the AR155. That Alfa Romeo is an awesome little motor car. And then we finish on the 3rd of June at Suzuka in the R35 2018 version. This is how the grid looks for this race number 1. Turbo, Darren Knudsen, HPR Quick Kick, Venom, LJV15, Green, Bunsey Carbon Boy, ATK 037, Toolshed, Speed Freak 99, Tubes, and Race Tech. TLR Race Tech, I'm assuming it's TLR because Old Guys Racing. There's a couple of Old Guys Racing guys in there. And essentially that is how they end up in qualifying. So the way the first race is done is we take the where everybody finished in qualifying. The qualifying format was quite simple. They went out and they did 8 laps. And the first lap was allowed up, obviously the last lap was a minute lap, which they didn't really bother doing. And then we took then you took 6 fast laps. We took the 2 fastest laps and put them in the bin. Took the 2 slowest laps and put them in the bin. And then we added the middle 2 times together and it gave you a number. And that number determined where you sit on this particular leaderboard, and that is why now I'm going to turn that down a little bit because I think the cars are a little bit too high. And that has determined how the grid sets for this evening, and Turbo will lead everybody out. Assuming Turbo's here, of course. He is indeed here. He's the only Turbo, that's what it says. There's a list on the right-hand side there. We'll have a look at the liveries once they go out. We've got full lobby, baby, full lobby. Fuel is at times 1 consumption. Racing soft and racing mediums are required at times 1 on the wear. 1 set of each. There is a pit window. It hits between 70 minutes in and 50 minutes in. Just a 20-minute pit window. You pit outside that window only to repair your smashed up motor car. No tyre, no fuel, you can't do it, not allowed, naughty if you do. So we will be having a look at what sort of strategies people are running during the pit window and getting an idea. Essentially they're either going to start on the softs or they're going to start on the mediums. Personally, I think the majority will start on the mediums, go as far into that pit window as they possibly can, and then finish on the soft compound tyres. Obviously, you don't want to go flat out. You don't want to be taking too much out of those tyres if you can help it. But, you know, it is what it is. So, very quickly, the GT Champions World Cup Season 5, brought to you by, presented, of course, by RWB Racing, powered by Hypre. It's where all these awesome graphics come from. Check them out immediately. And sponsored by Metropolis.com. Nothing else really to say other than we're about 2 minutes away from qualifying. And looking forward to that. Shall we have a look at who's chatting and shizzle? Hello Justin, how the hell are you? No, trust me mate, it's painful. It's very painful. No, there's no Black Flag boys in Division 3 either. Got a couple in Division 2 of course, but no Black Flag boys either in Division 3. Hello Isa, hello Hannah, how are you? Yeah, we've got Tubes for Isa. We've got a couple of RWB drivers, Venom and Green. Budsy's in there. I think he's a nicer driver as well, isn't he? We've got Newton running for Nola Racing. He has been doing a couple of bits with us at Black Flag as well, which is awesome. He's really quick, is Newton. HPR, he demonstrated just how quick he is in the Porsche Cup recently. So looking forward to seeing what he's going to chuck out. We've got some new drivers to World Cup as well in this division, so it's a good opportunity to see. I mean, yeah, we had a chance last week at qualifying to see how they got on, but now we get to see what it's like under racing conditions. This is where it really, really matters. So, without further ado, just waiting for qualifying. Shall we check that everyone's here? I think everyone is here. It certainly looks that way. Knudsen, Rockstar, Turbo, Budsy, LJ, Toolshed, Carbon Boy, ATK, HPR, Method. I know that the names are slightly different from what's on the thingy, but they are the same people. It's just, yeah. Quick Kick, that is Venom, of course. Mr. Mac, go! I don't know who that is, but we'll work it out. And, of course, Green. We are 1 short. I don't know which one we are short, but we are 1 short. I think Sniper. I don't think Sniper's supposed to be in this room. I'm not sure that he is. Of course, straight up after this, we've got Division 2. That'll be at about 12:30ish. Something like that. Good evening, Ant. Good evening, Bandit. How the hell are you? Good of you to join us as well. You looking forward to your race later? Division 4 and 5? Unfortunately, that Division 5 is not being streamed. You just woke up for a long night of racing. It is going to be a long night of racing. And of course, with the clocks going forward here, certainly in the UK and across most of Europe, it's going to be like 4 a.m. before some of us actually get to bed. Because it's going to get to 1 o'clock and then it's just going to be 2 o'clock. It's going to go 12:59 and then it's going to go 2 o'clock. You're like, how the hell did I just lose an hour? But I have been, my missus has said she will not wake me in the morning. Which is just as well, because if she did, I wouldn't get up anyway. So it was good to have Tatiana back. Tatiana busted up to the big league. She's doing Division 1 this year. Do check out her broadcast after this one, of course, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to check it out once I've done this one, and I've done Division 2, which is straight after this. And I know Division 2 is coming up after Division 3. It's just the way it works. I don't make the rules. I just get involved and do the shouting. Yeah, so Division 2 will be up straight after this. And then after you watch that, you can then check out Tatiana and see how Chris gets on. Because our glorious leader, Presidio Dog, is racing in Division 1 today. Chucked out an awesome qualifying time. Kept that a secret from everybody, didn't he? So we're just waiting for qualifying to start. Not quite sure what the delay is, but hopefully very soon we'll be qualifying. I forgot there's some Apex drivers out there. It's a good little selection of drivers out there. How you doing, Paymate? Good to see you, my friend. So some drivers we've seen and some drivers we know about. Knudsen, we know Knudsen's quick. We know HPR is quick. We know Quick Kick is certainly capable of putting in a lap or two. Venom's no slouch by any stretch of the imagination. Budsy, we know Budsy can chuck in some really, really quick times. We saw Budsy perform really well in... no, there is no qualifying. It's done basically on the qualifying from the qualifying, essentially. So whatever order they're in here on this sheet is how they... is how they line up on the grid, essentially. So Turbo will be on pole with Darren, etc., etc. You're watching both comms at the same time, Justin. Your ears, you must have this uncanny ability to just process crazy amounts of information. I struggle to press buttons and talk at the same time. And you're listening to 2 comms and 2 streams. Good on you, man. I suppose what you could do is you could kind of update how people are getting on. You can update how Chris is getting on, actually. So every so often, just, every time Chris crashes, I can't even wishing he crashed. Every time Chris crashes, you can let us know. Or doesn't crash, when he takes the lead and disappears 97 seconds up the road. So we are, well, we're bang on race time. I said we had a 90-minute race. I lied. It's a 2-hour race. Here we go. The missing body has arrived. Oh, that's Greasy. Greasy doesn't belong in this room. Greasy's a Division 1 driver, is he not? What are you doing here, Greasy? You don't belong here. Greasy, why are you invading us? He has realised he's in the wrong place. I was actually coming in thinking, who are all these people? I don't recognise any of these dudes. So we're missing one. I don't know which one we're missing because the names are slightly different from the ones we got on the list. You know, I've been well excited about this all week. Right? When I lost my voice earlier in the week, I was absolutely gutted, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do it, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare, and we're going to have like 2 lobbies that can't be broadcast, or I'm going to have to broadcast them without any comms. Genuinely, and I actually worked for 2 days where I didn't speak to anybody at work, including the client or anything. It was surreal. But I've been necking honey and lemon hot water, which is not, it's the sort of thing you use to attract bees or wasps, not really fit for human consumption on the mass industrial scale I've been chuckling it back. But it's made a difference. My throat's feeling a bit better. I still sound like I was told by my children that I sound like a ladyboy. How they have discovered what a ladyboy sounds like, I don't know. And it's probably one of those questions you don't really want your kids to answer, to be fair. And of course we're just riffing now while we're waiting for the race to start. 5-minute warning, take a bar from break, grab a drink. Good shout. So we are getting ready to go. Obviously there's no qualifying today. I don't know why I said there was qualifying. I knew there wasn't. I still talked about it anyway. No, there is no qualifying. We're going straight into the race. The grid is set based on qualifying from last week, which is awesome. Looking forward to this. Predictions. Well, look, if we go based on qualifying pace, you can't look much past sort of Turbo, Darren, Knudsen, HPR. Those sort of top four to be those battling. But you have to consider race pace and the way they look after tyres, the way they look after fuel. For me, and I'm basing this just on, for no other reason than I've seen more of him racing than anybody else. I think Knudsen is a really good shout for this. Budsy as well. Budsy's a really, really good driver, Australian driver. Certainly a potential there. HPR as well is capable of incredibly quick laps. Although, and this is no aspersion on HPR, he does have the odd error in his game. So, it's a long, long race. And, one thing I will say is this can't be won in turn one, people. So just be a little bit careful into turn one. I'm sure we're going to at some stage see somebody on the sand. We'll see some people probably at some stage facing in the wrong direction as well. But hopefully, touch wood, we see some great racing. Best overtaking spots. Well, it's certainly going to be you'll be in with slipstream potentially going down to turn one. If you can get a good run down there and get a little tuck up the inside on turn one. Turn 3 you can go around the outside. Turn 4 as well is a good potential. And then you've got, as you come out of the corkscrew, well, obviously if someone makes a mistake in the corkscrew, you've got an opportunity in the corkscrew, but not really much. Heading up the hill towards the corkscrew, if you get a good exit out behind the car in front, there's an opportunity there, and we're looking at the, I'm actually looking at the corkscrew now. I mean, you can't see it because I've got this screen up on. But yeah, so 5-minute warning has gone up, and we are pretty much ready to go. But this is the great thing, it's the first race. Anything can happen. Anyone can win it. And we could potentially see some of these drivers moving up into Division 2. Drivers moving from Division 2 into Division 1. Because that's how it's going to work this season. Is essentially, the Division 1 is fixed and everyone else is transient. So you perform really well in your division, and spaces come in above you. You will slide into the higher division. I mean, I think we'll find. I mean, we've got 6 divisions at the moment. I think we'll find that there'll be no one left in Division 6 within a couple of weeks, because a couple of people drop out, and these sort of things happen, don't they? People realise they can't commit to it, and all that kind of palaver. Just want to wish all the black flag drivers, of which there are many racing start. We've got, I don't think we've got any in Division 1, or have we? I don't think we have any in Division 1. I think we've got busted down, so we've got quite a few in Division 2, and certainly some in Divisions 4 and 5, and 4 and 5 and 6 as well, I think. Division 3 is the only one that hasn't got a black flag driver in it, actually. I can't remember if there's one in Division 1. I thought Monkey Macho Man made it Division 1, but then I think Chris might have busted him out into Division 2. I've got far too much to remember to see if I can remember that. So, who's on chat? Let's have a look. Division 1 is underway. Awesome. Okay, Jake. Hello, buddy. How you doing? Turbo Stevo. Quite a few of you in TV land watching. Thank you for joining me. That squeak at the end of it is just... I am indeed ready to roll, mate. I don't know if you're listening, but yes, I am. Of course, I'm always ready to roll. Right, let's have it. We've got some racing about to start. How's about that then, people? Really, really, really been looking forward to this race. Let's have it, shall we? Just waiting for them to start, and then we'll get rid of this screen. We'll bring up our overlays, and then we'll get cracking with some racing. So 2 hours here at Laguna Seca. That we want to get rid of. That we want to get rid of. That we want to add. Right, here we go. Race number 1, GTC Season 5. And we are underway very, very soon. Turbo will lead everybody out, and Knudsen joins him on that front row. HBR quick kick on row 2. And here we go, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5 lights. They go out, and GTC Season 5 is underway here with Division 3. Turbo out, Knudsen out, everyone through safely. We'll see as they head down to turn 1. Let's drop back a little bit and just make sure that everybody goes through turn 1 without any problems. Everyone braking quite well. Nothing going on behind. Everyone through safely. Hurrah! We are away. No red flags. Lovely and jubbly. So, I want to change to... No, that's not one. That's what I want. I want that one. Online IDs. So, Knudsen up into the lead of this race. Takes first position from Turbo from the outset. So, good start from Knudsen. Turbo running in second. HPR up to third position ahead of Quick Kick. As we see behind, LJ and ATK having a little ding-dong battle between them in these Dodge Vipers. Venom in between the two of them, briefly up to 7th, then 8th, then 7th again, making that move. So Venom up to 7th, dropping ATK down, actually to 9th as Carbon Boy comes through into 8th place. Speed Freak in 10th. Green is running in 11th. They come through the corkscrew for the first time. Anyone come a cropper? No, they do not. Race Tech in 12th. We've got Clint Freeman, and he is a free man. He's in 13th, and at the back is Toolshed. But, you know, everyone on a different straight. Just having a look, actually, I can tell you that one car is running on different tyres than everybody else. There is your race leader, Turbo, and Knudsen losing a couple of places, dropping down to 3rd. And I think we'll have a good look at some of these liveries for season 5 in this Viper. That's very understated. And I like the kind of red and white either side. Really, really cool looking car there for Turbo. HPR going, oh, that is beautiful looking. Very Metropolis inspired. Very, very Metropolis inspired indeed. Like that, like it a lot. Nola Racing, familiar livery for Knudsen of Denmark. A Quick Kick, and that's it's understated, but very good looking. That is Knudsen. No, it wasn't. It was HPR. Very, very wide. Coming up towards the corkscrew, loses a place. Knudsen up to 2nd. Budsy is not weak to speak. Absolutely right. Mental health being paramount. That is a thing of beauty. Look at that. That eagle on the side. That is a thing of beauty. That's taken significant work to do that. That guy from Budsy. Love it. LJ, he's gone for a Coca-Cola livery with obviously his Australian heritage. Showing now on the rear wing of that car. A little bit squirrely coming out of the final corner. Will that allow ATK to get a little bit closer? ATK from Canada. Attack the track. Actually, that's what they're called. Attack Motorsport. That's what the ATK stands for. Cool looking livery that. And then of course the RWB livery for Viper and Green. There is, not for Venom and Green, sorry, but in the Viper. That is really, really cool. Have they gone? They've gone for different liveries. I would have thought they'd both be running. That's a very RWB in itself. And ironically, Venom is using a green livery, and Green is using a RWB livery. Race Tech. He's another old guys racing driver as his Budsy, and that's I love that livery. Absolutely love it. Clint Freeman gone for a very red, white, and blue themed Dodge Viper there. American driver, of course. Speed Freak. Yeah, we've seen that livery already. Very, very cool. Carbon Boy. Who's the other side of the track? That was yeah, that was Green. Green was parked up. You can't park that there, mate. That's not where it belongs. Tool shed at the back of the pack again. another OGR driver. So out in front is Turbo. He is 1.4 seconds clear of Newton, and HPR going in to do some repairs early doors. A bit of damage on his car and felt he was losing time. Now this is the key, is you have to think about how much time you're losing. So how much damage have you really got on board? I can't get into his car to have a look. Yeah, so the level of damage is important. So you'll know by this stage what your race pace is. I doubt very much there's many drivers out there that haven't run the numbers and run full race scenarios, or at least partial race scenarios, and they'll know what their lap times are and what they're expected to get. Now, when you do pick up damage, which, you know, in a race this long, it's inevitable that one or two cars are going to pick up some damage. It's all about assessing how much time you're losing per lap to the amount of time spent in the pits, and whether it's worthwhile going in and doing those repairs outside the normal pit window. And you've got to kind of do the math in your head and think about it. I mean, if you're only losing a couple of tenths a lap, then it's probably not worth going to spend 45 seconds repairing your car, because you're never going to gain those back. However, if you're losing 1 or 2 seconds a lap, that 45 seconds then becomes, a very real, very dangerous thing to, or a very worthwhile thing, should I say, to sacrifice. So anyone that's damaged will be doing that math all the time. So Turbo, 1 second clear of Newton. Didn't get the greatest of exits out of that turn, and Newton himself didn't really get the hammer down either. They will start to settle into this race, and Paramount is getting the tyres to the midway point. He's making it to that pit window without taking too much out of your tyres and leaving yourself in a difficult position fuel-wise. So it is 1 second back to Newton, and they've already pulled out a significant gap over the rest of the pack. Budsy up to third. Australian driver is 7.2 seconds behind the front two. And we see this quite often, that a lot of drivers, a lot of races, you see the front two initially kind of go out of the blocks and disappear off up the road. But then over the course of a race, they then rein in. Because at some point you can't sustain significantly high pace over the course of the race while you're looking after your tyres and your fuel. So Budsy currently running in third. 0.37 from Attack Motorsports. The Canadian driver is 1.1 seconds behind Budsy at the moment, just coming through the corkscrew. He's got quick kick in that slipstream range just behind him. The American driver looking to try and find a way through. LJ version 15. The R14 weren't as quick as this one. This is the one they decided to put on the racetrack. Version 15. He's very, very fast, this one. Australian driver is half a second back from quick kick, with a little bit of a gap behind to the OGR driver, Racetech. And that, for me, is the best looking car out there today, with that eagle on the side for OGR. It is absolutely phenomenal work. 2.3 seconds, another Australian driver there. He's got 1.6 second gap over Venom, who is just 3 tenths up at the moment, running in 8th place. 3 tenths up from Clint Freeman. And we've got Clint Freeman having a little look there at Venom, trying to see if he can find a way through. But Venom weathers that storm, holds him off, and stays in 8th. But a little bit of a training for me there. Venom, Clint Freeman, Speed Freak, and that is a beautiful shot of those 3 cars coming through the first few corners. Back end of Clint Freeman gets a little bit wobbly. Speed Freak's going to get a little run on him. Up the inside, Speed Freak makes that move up into 9th. Clint Freeman does keep the car on the road, but he's now under some pressure from Carbon Boy, Australian driver, right up behind him now, looking to find a way through on Clint Freeman. Can he do it? He gets a good run heading up towards the corkscrew. Clint Freeman putting his car exactly where Carbon Boy does not want him to put it. Round the outside, does he make this move under braking? Side by side through the corkscrew. That's incredibly brave. But look at that, they make it through. Very safely. I wouldn't be going side by side through there, I can tell you that. For nothing. Yeah, very brave, and everyone survives. Green in the red, white and blue colours. And he is running 2.1 seconds back from Carbon Boy. 1.5 ahead of Toolshed. who is 11 seconds clear of HPR, who had to go in and repair some damage. He will, as I think, I was talking about, he would have done the math and you work out how much time you're losing, and he obviously felt it was worthwhile sacrificing track position at this early stage to do the repairs, to come back at it later. Now, he qualified up in the top 4 for this race, so he's got significant work to do to get himself back in amongst it. Fastest lap of the race was set by Newton, a 1:28.0. He did that back on lap 3, but now you're starting to see them settling into a bit of a room, and it's going to be this kind of mid to high 28s, I think. It's going to be kind of the steady race pace in these early stages. We'll see towards the end of the race it will start to ramp up, it will start to get quicker, these cars will get faster, but we'll spend some time kind of analysing each driver's pace and seeing how they get on them. You can see there already Turbo Newton lapping in the low to mid 28s quite easily. Then we've got the 7-second gap back to 0.37 for Attack Motorsport. He's got himself ahead of Budsy now. And he, although he's done a 28.7, he's lapping the low 29s. So a little bit, about half a second a lap slower than those two out in front, or the two leaders out in front at the moment. Budsy, mid to high 29s. That's why the 0.37 has managed to get ahead of him. We look at LJ. He's been quite erratic. He hasn't been able to set some... And this is the thing, when you're looking at 2-hour races, it's one thing having great pace is awesome, but you've got to have consistently great pace. So if you can, it's all well and good being able to put off a one blistering lap that's 2 seconds faster than anything else you can do. But if you can't sustain that pace, that blistering lap is useless to you. It's great in qualifying, but it's useless to you in a race scenario. What you want to do is you want to find a consistent pace that you can chuck in lap after lap after lap. I mean, if you look at, we'll have a quick look at Turbo and Newton. You look at that, I mean, he's doing sort of 28.4s to 28.7s, 3/10 difference. And that's the steady race pace that he's got. I've got no doubt that if asked, he could put in a low 28 or a high 27. But he knows that if he can consistently put in that pace there, which he's doing, the 28.4s, 28.6, 28.7, lap after lap after lap. So you get there, I mean, he's dropped off the pace a little bit, it's still only 4/10 off his fastest lap. That's big consistency. Then you see that with LJ, he's done 29.8, but there's a varying difference between the 29.8 and the 31.0 he's doing. If you could you need that window to be a little bit smaller, and that then you can kind of chuck in those consistent laps at that pace. Quick kick again, same kind of erratic thing you see there. 29.8, certainly capable of putting in blistering laps, but then can't sustain that kind of pace. Its sustainable pace seems to be in the low 31s. Race Tech. He's high 29s, low 30s. A little bit more consistency in there for him, but he's under pressure now. Puts in pressure now on Quick Kick, and can he find a way through? Obviously, they're in the same cars here, so it is all about trying to find a way to kind of outdrive the opponent in front of you. And remember that they can't change fuel or tyres until the window opens, which is essentially an hour and 10 minutes into this race. So from an hour and 10 minutes to 70 minutes left to 50 minutes left. So 10 minutes either side of the hour mark. So 50 minutes in and 50 minutes to go, essentially, is the way to describe it. We are, 13 minutes into this race. And I'll tell you what I haven't done, and I'm going to get told off, is I forgot to put the timer up, and I will, and I do apologise, I forgot to put the timer up on their screen. I actually deleted it off the thing earlier, and I forgot to put it back up. My bad. I have just realised that. I will repair that for next time. Well, you know what it is that I'm not going to explain why it's there. I found another way of doing it for my own broadcasts. So that's what I'll sort out. All right. Anyway, Speed Freak. There he's running in 8th. He's 4.7 seconds behind Race Tech. No change out front. It's still Turbo, Newton and 0.37 in that top 3. Venom is half a second back, and with a half-second penalty though, he could be dropping into the loving arms of Carbon Boy just behind. He's currently running half a second behind Speed Freak, but when he serves that penalty, we could see Carbon Boy, and we'll go on board with Carbon Boy as he chases down Venom here. We could very well see Carbon Boy stealing 9th place from Venom as he drops after serving that penalty. So through the corkscrew they come, round that right hand and the bottom of the corkscrew. Little lift here as you go round into this final few corners, and we're going to see Venom serve this penalty, and it's on the start-finish straight. And what we'll do is we'll work out exactly what the loss is for half a second here at Laguna Seca. It's not as big as places like Spa or Interlagos, but it is still certainly quite a big loss. Right, so he was 4 tenths ahead. He is now, by the time we get down into the braking zone, it's a big loss here. It's almost a second behind, 1.2 seconds. That's quite a loss there actually. It's a bigger loss than I thought it would be. So Carbon Boy up into 9th place by virtue of that penalty, and that put Venom right into the potential clutches of Clint Freeman. Clint Freeman tucked right in behind him now, and hoping to capitalise on that mistake. At this stage he's not green, so at the moment Clint Freeman is sandwiched between 2 RWB drivers, having a little look up the inside, has to back out of it as Venom just blocks off any opportunity to get through there. Excuse me. But he's certainly having a look, and this is bringing Green into play, because Green is tucked up behind Clint Freeman. Can he make a move? He gets a much better exit there, heading up the hill, and they head towards the corkscrew. Green makes the move, under braking, up into 11th place, and to chase down his teammate Clint Freeman, dropping down to 12th. So again, we've got those 3 American drivers, 2 from RWB and Clint Freeman, battling it out for a place inside the top 10. And I think this is the battle we're going to see raging on throughout this race. There is Toolshed running in 13th place. 4.5 seconds is the gap back to HPR, who's doing really solid mid to high 128s, which is the sort of pace that you see in the front guys chucking out. And but he's doing it from the back of the pack at the minute. So significant work for HPR to do to get himself back in the mix. Bear with me a minute, I need to wet my throat because it's killing me. That's better. Okay, so we are 17 minutes into this race, and the leader at the moment is a T64 Turbo. He's now 3.1 seconds clear of Knudsen, just pulling out a little gap, which gives him a little bit of a cushion. And when you've got this kind of gap, you can relax a little bit. I mean, obviously you don't want to relax too much. It's a 2-hour race, but you want to make sure that you're not kind of tightly gripping the steering wheel, and you land there. And the thing about Laguna Seca, it's very much a rhythm-based track. You need to have that kind of ebb and flow in the rhythm of this track to kind of dial it in. And I know you could argue, you could say that about most racetracks, to be fair, but for me, I think that of all the tracks, this is the one that most relies on you finding some kind of rhythm, because it is left and right, and it is it's that sort of track where once you lose that rhythm, it's very difficult to get it back. And that's what he's done. He's found that he's got himself into that little rhythm. He's built himself a decent gap, and he can manage that gap now. 2.8 seconds. He won't want to push early at this stage and risk taking too much out of his tyres or using too much fuel. But he'll want to maintain his pace. But what he'll do is he'll keep an eye on that gap. And if it gets to the stage where Knudsen starts to close that gap a little bit too much, he'll just up the pace a little bit. He's slowed it down a little bit. He's dropped the pace into the low 29s. And this is absolute racecraft. This is how you deal with race management properly. Is he started out in the mid to high 28s. He's got himself a bit of he's in that settling period now. We're on lap 13 of what is going to be many laps. I did what he says, it's 80 something before people pit. Anyway, something like that. Anyway, so, yeah, now he's settling into their rhythm. 29-1, 29-1, 29-1. And he's actually 12, well, it did say that he did 2 laps the same, but he hadn't. So 29-2, 29-3, 29-1, 29-1. He's finding that kind of, and that's exactly what I said about this being a rhythm track. He's just put in a purple sector, so is he starting to push because he wants that to be above 3 seconds, maybe? Who knows? You decide. Newton, Danish driver, running for Nola Motorsport. He's running comfortably in second, and again, we talk about pushing at the wrong time. This is not the time to be pushing. He's going to be keeping turbo within. Oh yeah, I tell you what, you don't want to be putting your car there. Little knock on the wall. He hasn't done any damage, but that gap is going to open up significantly. 3.3 seconds. Does keep the car steady, keeps the car back on the racetrack without losing too much time. But he won't want to do that too often. And I was about to say that he will be earmarking a particular distance he doesn't want to see Turbo getting to. So he'll happily stay in there and think, okay, look, I'm happy with a 3, 3.6, whatever it is. He might be happy with a 5 second or 6 second lead even, or deficit to the car in front. And then he'll know. Well, he'll know where he can ramp that pace up to after the pit window when things are different and things are starting to increase pace wise. But he'll make sure that he keeps Turbo in his crosshairs. ATK 037. Oh, the OGR boys are racing under ISA. I've only, to be fair, I've only just seen your question, Justin. The answer to that question is, it is the commentator that calls the red flag. Because we've got the biggest overview and we can see how many cars crash out. I'm wondering if you're asking that question because there was a red flag scenario in Division 1, maybe? Because there certainly wasn't one here. Everyone was very clean. But yeah, to answer your question, it is the commentator, if there is one. If not, then of course it is the lobby host. There we go. It answers your question, Chiefs. I don't know what the delay was for Division 3, but we are underway now, so what difference does it make? We're cracking on now. So Turbo leads the way 4 seconds now, exactly 4 seconds. Very briefly, it was exactly 4 seconds anyway. Newton is running in second, 8.6 seconds to 0.37 from Attack Motorsports. The top 3 now put out a nice big gap back to Quick Kick. Running in 4th place, he's got Race Tech just tucked in behind him. About half a second the difference at the moment. Can Race Tech put some moves onto Quick Kick? I would love to see one of those Eagle cars on a podium, mainly because I want to ask them who did it, because it's absolutely gorgeous livery. But then I've seen a post that said Hannah's the OG boys are racing under ISA, so I'm wondering if that is Kevin's handiwork. Potentially could be a Renegade one, couldn't it? Don't know. Let me know. LJ version 15. As I said earlier, the other 14 versions weren't quite this quick, but this one in the Coca-Cola, he's a 10 tracks driver. As you see on the, maybe he's not a track racer. He's in the Coca-Cola livery at Viper. 1.3 seconds behind Race Tech. 4 seconds clear of Speed Freak, spelled with a PH, and he's got 3.5 second lead over Venom. Venom still got Clint Freeman for company. He is not letting him out of his sight. Very similar in terms of pace, those two. Toolshed running in 10th place now. A couple of places gained for him. He's got himself ahead of Carbon Boy, ahead of Green. He's 1.6 seconds ahead of Green now. Green 1.6 ahead of Carbon Boy. Carbon Boy's picked up some damage. He's been off the racetrack somewhere. He's picked up some damage. Budsy as well, way down the order. Surprising, because Budsy's usually pretty quick. So Carbon Boy in 12th. He's got some pressure from HPR. HPR, who we saw pit very early to repair some damage. And Budsy, who's dropped right down the order, is tucked in behind HPR. They're all going to be putting, or trying to, put some moves on Carbon Boy. If he doesn't, if he gives them an inch, they will take the full mile. Budsy's pace in the low 29. You can see there, lap 13. He had an awful lap 149.4. So he went exploring on that lap. Into the bushes he did go. HPR is putting in a sort of steady low 29s. He's just outed that pace now into the sort of mid 30s as he runs quite long. Yeah, 0.37. 8.7 seconds back from Newton, running in that top 3 still. No change out in front, and let's do it on board with Turbo for a lap and just see how he maneuvers this car around the racetrack. So you see, you head down to turn 1. On that right hand side, you're looking for that little white line on the right hand side. That's your braking point. They were double renegade. Hannah, they are awesome. I think it might be the best one I've ever seen him do. Absolutely awesome, that Eagle one. Big fan of Eagles, I'm a Crystal Palace fan and all that. So that was turn 3, essentially. This is turn 4. Little lift to get through there, then you're back on that power. You can abuse the curbs here quite aggressively in this car. You just have to be careful not to get thrown into the desert bit. Up the hill we go. Little dab of brake, nothing significant, just to get the rotation in the car as you head up the hill towards the corkscrew. Now you want to kind of point your car almost diagonally here before you get on the brakes in a straight line. Very importantly, brake in a straight line there before you get turned in, and whippity it through. Little lift, back on the power again, down to, this is a tricky corner. You have to, you want to kind of clip the apex where that red sausage is, but you don't want to go over the sausage. Again, same thing here, apex where the sausage is, without touching the sausage, through the penalty line, and then you head across the line. And that is a pretty quick lap. That is a 128 mid, definitely. So the pace just starting to increase again for Turbo out in the lead of this race. Knudsen running in second. He's got that gap back to that 3 second figure. It was out as far as 4 seconds at one stage, but Knudsen's not going to let that last. He's got it back within 3 seconds of Turbo. Just put in the purple sector, so he's starting to ramp the pace up a little bit here. Certainly looks like what it looks like actually is that that gap of 3 seconds is being maintained by both drivers. So when Turbo starts to get the hammer down and open up that gap a little bit, Knudsen responds. So at the moment it's a bit of a cat and mouse game between the two of them, and I think the big key is going to be fuel usage. And you know, without giving too much away, I can tell you there's really not much difference in terms of their wear, fuel and tyres. It's the difference is negligible. So can one or the other get a little bit of a benefit in some way from that? Who knows? 0.37 is 9.6 seconds behind those front two. 16.2 seconds is the gap back to Race Tech. I'm very sorry, my daughter's just coming out. Give me 1 second. I'm going to have to administer some medicine to my daughter. She's bringing it into me. Right, so Attack Motorsports 0.37 from Canada. He's currently running as the best of the rest. 9.8 seconds back from Knudsen and Turbo. Can't find a way through. Can't find a way to close it down. But he is significantly ahead of anyone else. Race Tech 16.7 seconds behind. There is Racetech from Australia. He's got 1.1 seconds behind him's quick kick, and just behind him is LJ version 15. Good battle going on between these three. Fourth place quick kick, kicking up some dust there ahead of LJ. Did that slow him up, and did he have to let off the power there? Very, very dangerous game you're playing by getting on the dust there. You don't really want to be kicking up too much of that. And you can use all of that green when you come up through here. So up into the corkscrew we go. This is the battle we're watching for fourth between Racetech Quick Kick and LJ version 15. As we head round little lift, there doesn't seem to be that anyone's making the big moves on the others. So there we go. Kind of stuck where we are with that. Well, saying that, then LJ makes the move on Quick Kick into turn one. Oh, sorry, into the final corner. Heading down towards turn one. At the moment, they're side by side, and LJ made the move but couldn't hold it off, and has to drop in behind Quick Kick and settle to stay in sixth. But he's certainly looking to have a go here. He wants a place in that top five, and he's not going to give it up just yet. Right, so behind them, 1.6 seconds behind them, is a Speed Freak. He's got a bit of a gap either side. He's under no pressure from Venom from behind at the moment. 3.7 seconds is that gap. Still no change to those front three, of course, Turbo, Newton and 0.37. Venom is running 3.8 seconds behind the other American driver, Speed Freak. And he's still got his shadow. Clint Freeman has been staring at the back of that RWB car of Venom for 20 odd laps almost, and he must be sick of the sight of the back of that car and will want to try and find a way through. Clint Freeman is, as I said, chasing down Venom, but he's 2.1 seconds clear of HBR. HBR starting to make his way through the field. Well, look, we knew it was going to take some time. He had to repair some damage early on, which cost him significant time. He did close up eventually on the back of the pack. He's starting to find his way through now. He's up to 10th. He's lapping at a similar pace to Turbo Newton out in front. So he will be catching these guys, but it's quite hard work to do because you don't want to over push at this stage. You know, you've got to look after your fuel and tyres, and there is that tendency when your race hasn't gone your way early on, you've had to change your strategy. There is always that danger that you will kind of over push the car. So he's got to try and prevent himself from falling into that trap. There is Green. He's 1.9 seconds now behind HBR and dropping away from him as HBR pulls off up the road after his next American target in Clint Freeman. Budsy, Australian, excuse me, is 2.888 seconds behind Green, and he's got his teammate Toolshed 2.1 behind him, and then a 12-second gap back to Carbon Boy in 14th position. There's your race leader. He's pulled out a bit of a gap now to 4.3 seconds, which is a nice place, nice position to be in. As we just go past the half-hour mark here at Laguna, Seca. Anyone that doesn't know what we are about, this is the GT Champions World Cup Season 5. This is round number 1, the first World Cup race of 2023 in Group or Division 3. If you like, brought to you by RWB Racing and Metropolis.com. I'm Open Pirate from Black Flag Racing TV, getting involved in the shenanigans. The race is currently being led by Turbo, and the way we lined up the grid for this was basically we did a load of qualifying last week, hours and hours and hours and hours. I say we, I was involved for a small portion of that time. What I mean by we is I mean Chris and Venom, Chris Dio and Venom. Did hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of qualifying, and occasionally some of us jumped into the lobby and had a little chat with them, and then we lined all the drivers up in order of how quick they were. And these drivers for Division 3 were lined up on the grid in that exact same order. Turbo, though, really demonstrating his pace, has led from beginning to end, so thus far, not to end, because we haven't finished, but from beginning to now, he's led this race, and he's managing the pace out there very, very well. The way it works in terms of division movements, essentially, if a gap arises in Division 1, someone from Division 2 takes that gap, and then someone from Division 3 takes that gap, and someone from Division 4 takes that gap, someone from Division 5 takes that gap, and so on and so on and so on, until we run out of drivers or people to fill the gaps. And we continue doing so, and that ensures that the higher, faster lobbies always full of drivers, lots of lovely drivers, which is what you want. You want 14, 15 drivers in every single lobby every single week. And we've got 10 weeks of this racing action for your viewing pleasure. This week is the Dodge Viper, the phenomenal GT4 Dodge Viper, and we're at Laguna Seca, the home of the corkscrew. So you're never going to go short of being able to open your wine if you are at Laguna Seca, because it literally has a corkscrew. Your race leader is Turbo. He is 3.7 seconds clear of this man here. Nola Racing's Knudsen of Denmark. Maintaining that 3.7 second gap. It's kind of been flitting between 3 and 4 seconds for pretty much most of this race. They've managed to pull out a little gap. I say a little gap. Almost 8-second gap now over 0.37 of Attack Motorsport. Canadian driver is currently running the best of the rest, ahead of the two Australians of All Guys Racing's Race Tech and LJ version 15. I don't know why I keep saying version 15. It just makes sense that kind of should be the thing. To me anyway, it makes sense that that's the thing. Then we've got Quick Kick running in 6th place, 4.6 seconds. He's got Venom just behind him, half a second behind him, and Venom's still got his shadow. Clint Freeman is Venom's shadow today, and now we can see that now they're inside this top 10. We've got Speed Freak in 9th, we've got Green in 10th, Bugsy up to 11th. Where's HPR? Now HPR had fought his way into the top 10. It looks like he's had another problem because he's dropped back down to 13th place. That's allowed Toolshed to move up. That's allowed Bugsy to move back up. So, and I said this earlier, and I meant it with the utmost respect for him as a driver, is that HPR has incredible pace, but he does have that. And a number of drivers have it where they can put in beautifully consistent laps, lap after lap after lap, but then just over push and just overdrive the car a little bit, and then it all goes horribly wrong and you have to start it all over again, essentially. Kind of like, when you play Donkey Kong and you kind of get closer and closer and closer to the donkey, to Kong, and then you get hit by the barrel and knock all the way back down and you have to start all over again. Who's that got a penalty? That is Venom with a half-second penalty. His shadow is he's about to become his shadow's shadow, because Clint Freeman is going to bust through when they cross the start-finish line. They'll come up to the start-finish line next when he serves that penalty. The only way he's going to be able to negate that is if he can pull out a nice gap over Clint Freeman and Quick Kick it up a hell of a lot of dust, and that gives Venom a good run on him. He's up inside Clint Freeman, looking at making a move on both of them. He does get through on Quick Kick, can't make the same move on Venom, but if we look behind Quick Kick, there's another move. Speed Freak making a move on Quick Kick. That has cost Quick Kick very dearly. He's already lost 2 places. He does manage to hold off that initial charge from Speed Freak, but for how long? He got really squirrely and kicked up a lot of dust, And that just, and having to get, and the thing is, once you do that, you've got to let off the power, because the rear wheels on these Vipers will just absolutely spin you flying off into a wall at a rapid rate of knots if you don't do that. But we're going to see Venom, who's currently up to 6th place, 7.6 seconds behind LJ, the two Australians of LJ and Racing ahead. He'll serve that penalty, and through goes Clint. Through will go Quick Kick. Will Speed Freak make it through as well? So Quick Kick up into 7th. Is Speed Freak going to capitalise on anything today? Just not lucking out for Speed Freak at all. It didn't capitalise when Quick Kick went wide and kicked up the dust. Couldn't quite make it work for him, and couldn't capitalise on Venom's penalty. He is still up there. He's still involved, and that is still a battle going on there for 6th. Unless, of course, Frim can now put out a bit of a gap. All very exciting. Buddy in 10th. Green is running 11th. Toolshed in 12th. HPR 13th. He's got to basically undo all the doings again. Carbon Boy. That's not the racetrack, my friend. He's 13 seconds back in 14th position. Top 3 remains unchanged as we just click past 40 minutes into this race. T64 Turbo. That gap has come down a little bit. It looks like Knudsen is starting to ramp up the pace. He's put in a 28.0. That's his fastest lap. He hasn't done that for a while. But he is starting to ramp the pace up, whereas Turbo was trying to slow it down. It's down to 1.7 seconds, this gap now. Is this where Knudsen starts the push? Does he want to make the push and make the move before the pit window opens? The pit window opens in 10 minutes time. Remember, so it opens in 10 minutes time. Any time within that next 20-minute period, which stretches from 50 minutes into the race to 50 minutes left in the race, any time during that time you can pit. You must not enter cross that pit line before the 50-minute mark, and you must have exited the pit line before the end of that 20-minute pit window period. I'm torn. I'm going to be honest. I'm torn on the use of pit windows. I like them to an extent. I think it's a great leveller because it kind of forces you to have to look after tyres and fuel. But I dislike them for one reason and one reason only. Is that, you know, if you don't have a pit window, people can pit whenever they want to. It creates a range of different strategies across the race, and you can find many different people doing many different things, and it can really change the complexion of a race when you've got different people running very different strategies. And often you don't really get the full picture of the race until right at the end, when people have done their last pit stops, and all of a sudden you can see how people are slotting in on the racetrack in different places. But then you do get the one great thing I think about having a pit window is that it's, I think I already said what I said, it's a great leveller. It essentially forces everybody to operate basically under exactly the same conditions. So it becomes purely about driving ability with a level of fuel saving and that involved, because everybody's going to have to learn to look after tyres, look after the fuel in the same way. So it is a real leveller in that respect. Talking of levelling, Turbo was 4 seconds clear at one stage in this race. For a long swathes of this race, he kept the gap managed between 3 and 4 seconds, mostly around 3 seconds. Knudsen has closed that gap now. The gap to 0.37 hasn't really changed much. It's been flitting around that 7 or 8 seconds pretty much since the gap opened. But Knudsen and Turbo starting to get closer and closer, and I think Knudsen is starting to smell blood. Now he knows the pit window is coming. That's coming in about 5 minutes time. When do they choose to jump in? That's another question. I mean, I imagine that we're not going to see the medium tyre runners even thinking about that kind of the pit window until you're probably 15 minutes or so into the pit window being open. They're going to want to kind of drag it out as long as possible on those medium tyres to ensure that they've got nice grippy softs all the way into the final section of the race. However, it's difficult to tell what strategies people have worked out over time. And again, it comes down to how well can you. Everyone's going to have to learn to look after time. How well can you look after them? Can you get 5 laps more than your opponents on the soft compound tyres? If so, can you afford to go in earlier and be a little bit racier on those tyres? Are you racier if you're really looking after them? How much quicker can you be while still looking after the soft tyres? These are questions you're going to have to ask yourself and ask of the people around you. And the great thing is that race one, you will have raced with one or two of them. You probably may have practiced with one or two of these guys as well. But you won't really know what they're about. As this, excuse me, as this World Championship goes on, things will change, and we'll see. You'll start to learn more about your opponents and how well they can operate, and what the sort of strategies they employ, and then you can start to think about what you can do to negate what they're doing. But it's going to take time. It's going to be 3 or 4 races before you really start to see the patterns in your opponents, and obviously you will know then who you are, who your big rivals are on the racetrack. One race won't necessarily demonstrate that. For instance, HPR we know is operating at the pace of these front runners, but just struggling a little bit with his consistency. So I think it's time, 45 minutes in, for a full rundown. Turbo leads 1.2 seconds from the Danish driver Knudsen. I'm just going to stand up because it's getting a bit of bang bang. Oh, there we go. From Knudsen, who's 8.5 seconds clear of 0.37, who's been very lonely on that racetrack. Very, very lonely. He's had literally no one to race with for nigh on 20 odd laps. 32 seconds is the gap back to Race Tech, who himself is in a very similar position to ATK, albeit the other way round, in that the gap in front is much bigger. But 6.3 seconds back to LJ. He is himself is 48 seconds off the leader, 2.7 seconds clear of Clint Freeman, who was for so long racing in Venom's shadow, but now he's been released into the wild, and he's 4.3 seconds clear of Speed Freak, 1.1 clear of Quick Kicker. Where is Venom? Looking for him, and he's there. We found him. 1 second back to Budsy. Well, I knew he was still here because otherwise the lobby would have shut down, wouldn't it? Budsy is 8-9 tenths ahead of Venom at the moment, who's a drop back to his teammate. He's just inside that top 10 is Venom. His teammate 2.9 seconds back. Well, he was. He's further back now because HPR has just made that move on green. That's not the first time he's overtaken him today, and it might not be the last. If he continues to have his little wobbly moments, HPR. So fighting his way back into the top 10 as we speak. And that's an Indonesian driver, I believe. Or Malaysian. Yes. 1.5 seconds is the gap now to Green, who's just dropping off that pace a little bit. Then we've got 3 seconds back to Old Guys Racing's tool shed in the livery made by that beautiful. I love it. Then 16.3 seconds to Carbon Boy, who's 1 minute 23 seconds back from Turbo. Now Turbo is actually coming up not far off him and Knudsen, coming up behind some back markers now. How much will they come into play? Now obviously, back marker, I say obligated, they're obligated to get out of the way, but not at the expense of their own race, of course. But I'm sure they know where on the racetrack they are in relation to these guys, and they'll know that those guys coming behind them will be racing for position. Newton's really started to ramp it up with this with the pit window opening, and it could be that now they know the pit window's open. They know that if they do take a little bit more out of the tyres than they intended, that they've got the safety net of the pit window being open, so they can start to give it a little bit of beans, to a little bit more on heavier on the loud pedal, and maybe a little bit lighter on the slow pedal. Can really start revving the car out. You can see there, really revving it out to try and close that gap on Turbo, who's doing. Look, to be fair, Turbo's doing a sterling job. That you can see Newton closing him down and chasing him down and hunting him, and just manages to keep putting that gap back out to just over 1 second. Every time Newton closes up to within a second, Turbo just gives it that little bit extra and opens that gap up again. But that's how we stand. So these front two still really battling it out till the pit window. Now, which one of these two blinks first? Do you say, okay, look, I'm in front, I'm going to go in first and risk him probably following me in, and then you lose nothing. I go in first, he'll follow me in, and we'll probably much come around the same time. Or do you say, I'll go in and then potentially he can stay out, go a little bit longer, and have some time to go a little bit hammer time while I'm in the pits, which means I'm going to have to give it a bit of hammer time when I come out and risk taking a little bit more out of tyres than I wanted to. Or do you say, okay, look, I'm going to wait until see who blinks first, and I'm going to hold on until the guy behind me goes in. Interesting game of cat and mouse at this stage between these two for that. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they could, if they so wished, hang on right to the end of the pit window. That pit window is now open. Pit window is open for the next 20 minutes of this race. They can go in any time they like from now. I'll tell you who's going to be first in the pits without question. It's going to be this guy. 037 opted for the soft compound tyre to start the race. Only driver that did. So which means he's going to be the first into the pits. Now, interestingly, it's a two kind of pronged thought I've been having. Obviously, I've known since the start of the race he's been on the softs, and I've been having a two-pronged thought about whether it's genius or not to have been the only one on soft compound tyres. And there is a part of me thinking, okay, look, you know you haven't got the pace of the turbos and the Newtons ahead of you. When that's been clear over this first kind of half of this race. So do you push, knowing you're going to have to go in before everybody else, then be on the medium tyres, but have the opportunity to gain some space when they all go in? You're going to have done and dusted your pit stop, and you can, because you're going to be on more durable tyres, you can push a little bit more, because you can see, and you've got obviously the benefit as well of seeing how far they can take. They've been able to take the other tyres. Essentially, what you want to do is, if you can get your weakest tyres past the 1 hour mark, that whatever other tyres you put on, which will obviously whatever other tyres it's the bloody mediums, you idiots. When you put the other tyres on, they're definitely going to make it. And that's essentially the score for. But the fact you're going in before everybody else gives you that little bit of benefit of being able to push that little bit harder on the more durable tyres. The other prong, of course, is that everybody else is going to be on the stickier, grippier, yummier soft compound tyres, of course, which changes things slightly. Because they're going to be coming at you like Cleopatra. Turbo Newton still duking it out there in the lead of this race. The gap is down to a half a second. I say respectful because they are giving each other oodles of respect. They're past Carbon Boy. They've got that done and dusted. It's good at Carbon Boy to make sure they can interfere in that particular battle. Stay lubricated, people. Stay lubricated. Excuse me. Seriously, I'll never see another Bumblebee again. It'll be too soon. I'm sick of lemon and bloody honey. But, you know, it's what it is. Yeah, so half a second is that gap. Again, I asked the question, is Newton going to make this move before the pits? Or is he just going to sit in there and happy? Well, essentially, I mean, he could just sit in there and wait and see what Turbo does. He could rely on or hope that Turbo makes a mistake, potentially. But I'm sure if the move's on, he's going to make it. And, I mean, ideally now, because the pit window's now open, you want to kind of push now for the next few laps, knowing that the pit window's open and you're going to have to go in and change things. So we are less than 5 minutes from the halfway point in this 2-hour GT Champions World Cup Round 1 race here in the GT4 Dodge Viper at Laguna, Seca, the home of the corkscrew. Turbo leads the way from Newton. The gap was at one stage 4 seconds. Not anymore. Half a second is the gap now. And there is 0.37 into the pits as we thought he would be. Well, no, I thought he would be. And I was correct. He came in early now. Comes back out in third. That's important, actually. Because he hasn't lost any track position. Excuse me, by pitting. The gap's significantly smaller now. It's 4.45 seconds to race 10. 44 seconds, of course, behind Turbo and Newton. But he can now give it some beans. Some full beans he can give it. While these guys are duking it out and planning when they're going to be coming in, he can just go hammer time. He's got a clear 44 seconds of road ahead of him, with maybe a back marker or two along the way, but albeit a clear 44 seconds of road that he can drive that Viper into. And Newton having a little switcheroo look, maybe. No doings for him, but staying in the mix. You know, I suppose it can be quite frustrating if you're, if Newton is at his full pace and he just can't find a way past Turbo. It must be so frustrating over so many laps to be following the car and knowing that you're kind of relying on them making a mistake rather than anything else. And it can, I suppose, be to an extent soul destroying. I suppose it would be worse if you knew you were quicker and felt you were quicker and couldn't get past. And you were stuck behind the other driver just because you just couldn't find that way through. Because that's probably more depressing. Let's have a little looky down. Let's have a look down the order, shall we? Right, so Carbon Boy, he has been lapped by the 2 litres Turbo and Newton. It's 18 seconds off the back of Toolshed. He's got some damage to his car, but he's hanging out there. He's doing what he's done the maths. Yeah, he's done the maths and he's worked out that it's better to stay out there because he's going to be pitting somewhere in the next 12 minutes, and that's how long the pit window is open for, of course. Toolshed 5.8 seconds behind Green, who's got a half-second penalty. It's not going to get Toolshed past him, but it's certainly going to close the gap by about 1.2 seconds. Venom out of that top 10. He has dropped down to 11th place, quick kick ahead of him, and but under some pressure from him as well. 4.3 seconds up the road is HPR, making a move on Budsy and having a look at Speed Freak as well while he's at it. So he's now up into that top 8. He's starting to work his way forward. He has already had to pit to repair some damage, so made his way up to 8th. He's going to hang this out there again towards the end of that pit window, and the pit window will firmly slam shut in 10 minutes and 30 seconds time. So everyone now, because the only one that's pit so far, of course, is 037. He has been in the pits. He went for a completely different strategy to everybody else, in that he started on the soft compound tyre, which is why he had to go in sooner than everybody else, of course. And as I said, it's going to be a case of, yes, he's going to be on the racetrack when everyone else pits, but they're all going to come out on juicy, soft, squidgy tyres. Speed Freak is still holding HPR at bay. How long can he hold him off? HPR is looking incredibly racy in these final laps before he pits. 29.3, 29.8, 29.7 with some mid-30s chucked in for good measure. I'm sure if he gets a bit of clear air, he will find a way to up that pace. At the moment, he's battling his way through the back of cars. He's tucked in nicely behind Speed Freak there. Can he make the move into turn 1? There is HPR. He's having a look up the inside. Speed Freak covers it off quite well, but under braking, HPR just so much better on the brakes into turn 1 and makes it look so easy. His next target, 6.4 seconds, and it's LJ version 15. As I said before, the other 14 versions weren't quite quick enough. He is 6.6 seconds ahead at the moment, and Venom Shadow, who's no longer his shadow, of course, Clint Freeman, up to 5th place, and his name is what? Mr. Mac Gogo. 4.2 seconds is the gap from Clint Freeman to Race Tech, running in 4th. He is 9.6 seconds behind ATK Motorsports, 0.37, or as I've just been reliably informed by a cursed axe, his name's Leo, like a lion. Reminds me of a joke, actually. I went to a pub once with my pet giraffe, and I ordered a drink and sat down, and the giraffe laid on the floor next to the table. And the barman said, "What's that line there?" I said, "It's not a line, it's a giraffe." Awful, I know. Right, Turbo leads away. Newton's had a problem because that gap was next to nothing negligible. It's now 6.2 seconds. So clearly we're going to see, when he rounds this final corner here, we're going to see a big chunk of lap time. He did 32.2, 32.5. This is going to be way outside that kind of number. Oh, it's not actually, it's the 130. So those 32 laps were obviously, oh yeah, they were anomalies, of course they were. That's what did it, 32.2 and 32.5 were the big anomalies there. So that 4-second gap was a 4/10 gap. It's now a 6.2 second gap. Not through a cursed axe. It is the if it is broadcasted, it is the broadcaster that calls for a red flag. It's only if it's not broadcasted, it's done by the lobby host, unless something's changed since GTC-4. Right, Turbo leads 6.2 to Newton. The first of the media tyre runners blinks as we pass the 1 hour mark. We are over halfway through, and guess what? We've got another 2 hours after this. Awesome! Rock and roll. Race Tech goes in from he was 9th when he went in, so he's going to go and change out his tyres. Turbo comes in. So he's seen the opportunity. And in he comes. Knudsen stays out. Excuse me. Now I did ask the question. Would they like for like? Does the fact that Knudsen's now 6.6 or whatever it is behind, or was 6.2 behind, has to change his tack a little bit. He's got to be careful though, because the pit window closes in. He's only got a couple of laps before he has to get in and out of those pits. So people need to keep an eye on the time now, and just make sure that that they do get in and out with expediency. So here comes Turbo. He'll come back out in second place. How far ahead of 037 is he? I'll tell you how far ahead he is. He's not. He's behind 037. Oh, no, he's not. I lied. That was Carbon Boy. I got excited then. Ooh. I thought that was Carbon Boy. I thought that was Turbo. No, Turbo's actually 6.5 seconds, 8 seconds clear of him. Ignore me. That was somebody else. It looked good though, didn't it? It looked good. So Carbon Boy is in 14th place. It was him that we saw coming out of the pits. Newton comes in this time around. Everybody in, apart from Clint Freeman. He hasn't yet. LJ hasn't been in yet. HBR hasn't been in for tyres and fuel yet. He's been in for repairs. He's up to 6th. Budsy also needs to go in. He's in 7th, as does Green. Race Tech was the first, of course, to blink of the medium tyre runners. So Newton now in. I'm assuming Turbo will regain the lead of this race right about now. Foxhole, brother. Here he comes. Turbo regains the lead. Where's Newton? Well, he's whacking on some fuel, so it's yeah. Now, how much difference is it going to be? It was 6.6 seconds or something along those lines when Turbo dived into the pits. Does 037 jump Newton here? Where is Newton? Newton got it. It looks like 037 didn't beat Turbo out of pits, but he did beat Newton out. So Newton comes out in 3rd. Now, look, he's quick already. He's definitely got more pace in him than ATK 037. And he's on the soft compound tyres, but he's got to catch him first. He's got 5.3 seconds he's got to catch. Then he's got to pass him. And meanwhile, Turbo, that's a phenomenal pit stop from Turbo. Because what's essentially happened is he's taken that 6.6 second lead that he had, and he's extended it to 9 seconds to a different driver, and then another 5 odd seconds to the driver originally. So essentially, he's doubled it and some, and given himself a lovely, jubbly little gap. Yeah, just over double. 13.7 seconds now. Up to 4th place is Clint Freeman. He still needs to pit. But I tell you what, he's very, very good at looking after his tyres. His old Clinty boy. Very impressed with that. LJ is 5th place. He's got pit still. Race Tech has been in and he is back out. So Clint Freeman in. If LJ doesn't come in this time, he's in real danger. I'm just saying, if he doesn't come in, he's in real danger of not getting it done. But he did go into the pits. So that is everybody has now been in during this pit window. So Turbo leads away 10.6 seconds from 037. 037 has got around Carbon Boy into to lap them, sorry. There is Newton, and he's got a lap. He's got a lap a couple of drivers actually by the looks of things. So look ahead of him here. That is Carbon Boy, and I think that is, yeah, it's Green. So that's Green ahead of him and Carbon Boy. He's got to get around both of those. It won't be too difficult. They won't hold him up, of course. But he's got to get past them before he's anywhere near getting onto the back of Turbo, who is 11.4 seconds ahead of ATK 037, who is obviously Newton's next target. Racetech 39 seconds outside that top three, 10.2 seconds ahead of Clint Freeman, Mr. McGoggle. 1.4 seconds HPR now, up into sixth. He's starting to reach the business end. It's taking him a Laura laps. 46 laps is taking him to get there. We are looking at somewhere like 85, 86 laps for this race in total. So we've still got 40 laps remaining. That's it, you've got me for another 40 laps. Guess what happens after that? We've got another 80 odd laps of Division 2. So excited. Oh, my front is killing. Right. Everyone's been in the pits. Let's have a full rundown. Turbo 11.5 clear of 037, who managed to jump Newton in that pit window. That said, though, Newton has closed that gap significantly. It was 5 seconds when they came out. He's already now closing up on Carbon Boy. Moves out of the way to let Newton. Oh! Doesn't. I thought he was going to move out of Newton's way and just cut across and very nearly gave Newton something to repair and think about. But Newton is through and he's all over the back of 037 now. How long is it going to take him to make this move to get it done? Can 037 hold him at bay for any length of time? Doesn't look like he is, because they are side by side heading down to turn 1. They cross the line. ATK 037 moves into third. Newton's got that inside line going into turn 1. On the brakes they go. Little bit better on the brakes for 037, but Newton with that inside line and those grippier tyres with a better traction gets a better exit out of the corner and up back into second here at Laguna Seca in the Dodge Viper. And that's what he just did. He dodged the Viper of 037. In fact, he had to dodge the Viper of who was it? Who's the guy at the back? Carbon Boy, who I don't think saw him when he was about to lap him. Right, so there we go. So Newton up in second, 037 is third. Racetech in fourth, 41 seconds back. 11 seconds to HPR, who's up into the top 5 now, having dispatched Clint Freeman. Clint Freeman, we saw him in Venom's shadow for some time. 20 odd laps he was in his shadow. But as soon as he was released, it was like a caged animal being let out, and he disappeared off on the road, scampered off up the road in search of his freedom. But he does have Budsy crawling all over him. Budsy is not a slouch by any stretch of the imagination. 28.5 his fastest lap, which he did a couple of laps ago. And we were already seeing, we're already into the 127.4 for T64 Turbo, the race leader. Extra point, of course, for fastest lap, which is always yummy. And I think this division's going to be really close between these guys, you know. LJ V15, he's running in 8th, he's 1.3 seconds behind Budsy. 3 seconds clear of Venom. 7.9 clear of Speed Freak. 2.5 seconds to Quick Kick, running in 11th place. He's 2.8 seconds ahead of the 2 Australian drivers, firstly Toolshed, and then 19 seconds back, Carbon Boy. Toolshed getting some blue flags now as Turbo comes up behind him. And then running at the back of the pack is Green, 2.9 seconds back. Should start to see the pace ramping up for him on those soft compound tyres though. Excuse me a moment while I go top up my soothing drink. Apologies for that, I just had to top up the drink. So, 13.9 seconds Turbo leads. Seen kicking up some dust there as he closes down on Toolshed, who is in a bit of a battle there with Quick Kick. Giving up track position to these the race leader as they're lapping. Does this give Toolshed an opportunity? And I'll tell you what the ideal is. What Toolshed wants to do here is let Turbo past him when he can pick up a bit of slipstream and tuck in that, use that additional toe you can get from the race leader, just to help you close up on the back of Quick Kick. Although that would be where he'd want to have it, but he's got his own bit of slipstream on the back of Quick Kick as it is anyway. To head into turn one, Quick Kick on the brakes, Toolshed on the brakes, and of course the race leader coming up behind them at a rapid rate of knots, of course. Behind them, Carbon Boy 19 seconds back, and he's got 18k for company at the moment, who's now back into 037, now back into third after Newton regained second place from him, and Green 3.7 seconds back, trying to find a way to close up on Carbon Boy. He's just put his fastest lap of the race. That's a good way to start. He's put in the fastest lap of the race, or your own personal fastest lap of the race, with a 1:29.5. Newton, he saw Turbo's 1:27.4, and he raised him a 26.9, and has put in the fastest lap of the race. He's trying to close that gap. Turbo is finally through. He's onto the back of Quick Kick. Can Toolshed capitalise now and try and close up? And when Quick Kick gives up that position to Turbo, try and nip in there. I've seen it done many a time where you've got a car lapping you, and while they're lapping you, you go nick a place off the guy in front of you, because they're so busy focusing on the guy that's lapping them, they don't see the cheeky you hiding behind that lapped car and diving on through to gain a position. Great move there from Quick Kick. Actually, just going a little bit wider through turn one to allow Turbo through. That's the way you minimise how much time you lose while giving a position to a faster driver. Very, very good masterclass that. The target for Newton is to close down a 12.4 second deficit to T64 Turbo. That's double what the gap was when Turbo went into the pits. So Newton losing out a little bit. He's got some significant work to do. He got round, he dispatched to 037 relatively quickly, and has opened up a nice juicy 7.7 second gap. So this is how the race looks as we move into the final 40 minutes of this race, not far away. 38 second gap back to our Race Tech, who's looking pretty darn comfortable at the moment in fourth, to be honest. Not really anything to worry about. Yeah, you're right, Sean, he's doing very well. He's found a little niche on the racetrack as ATK 037. Look, he's not going to catch those front two, it's clear, but kind of holding out well in third, and a nice decent gap back to fourth. But again, Race Tech's in a very similar position, as I said earlier, to 037, albeit reversed in terms of a gap to front to back. But as long as he can keep it on the road, looking good for that top four. In terms of pace, might be a little bit worried about the sort of pace that HPR can chuck in, because you can see that HPR firmly into the 127, the high 127s in terms of race pace now. Maybe seeing that gap to Race Tech over the next sort of 10 laps. I think we're going to see that gap, that 6 second gap, come down closer to something a little bit more overtakeable. 2.3 seconds is the gap to Budsy, Budsy started 27.8 himself, just under 27.9. So as said, the times were ramping up, and that's exactly what's happening. They're starting to lay down now some of these quicker times with the soft compound tyres. And as the race goes on and the cars get lighter and lighter and lighter, we're going to see that more and more and more. Clint Freeman, he's literally just done his fastest lap of the race with a 1:28.8. 4 seconds off the back of Budsy, but he's got LJ for company. Remember, for the first 20 odd laps of this race, he was the guy following Venom around. Yeah, he's the guy following Venom around, but now he's the one being chased by LJV15. 4.5 seconds back to the one I was just talking about, Venom. There he is, in the green livery, the green Metropolis. Higginbotham Brothers are racing. That's Venom and Igorski, those two. The Higginbotham Brothers. Why can't I say Higginbotham? What the fuck is wrong with me? Bloody damn froze. Anyway, moving on. 7.5 seconds back to Speed Freak 99. He's 6.2 seconds clear of Quick Kick, who's at the moment 1.4 ahead of Toolshed. Just needs to keep an eye on that gap and make sure it doesn't come down too much. I'm sure Toolshed behind him, and we look at Toolshed's lap times, not too far dissimilar. But Toolshed's going to need to start taking some chunks out. 17.1 back to Carbon Boy, running in 13th, and he's currently 4.7 clear of Mr. Green. Assuming it's a Mr. It could be a Mrs. I suppose. If I haven't just misgendered somebody, it could be somebody who identifies as anything. You can, of course, identify as anything you like nowadays. 11.1 seconds is the lead for T64 Turbo. And he manages to, he uses so much in the racetrack, which is always useful. You're always going to be quicker if you can do that. But he manages to kick up so much dust without losing control of that Viper. An amazing thing, really, really is. He's been absolutely flawless today from beginning to end. Newton, he's taken a couple of seconds out of that gap. Has he got the wherewithal to catch him? His fastest lap was a 26.9. So clearly he has got some super duper laps in him. You can't be chucking out laps like that every lap for the next 40 minutes. You will find yourself in dire, desperate need of some new boots, and you just can't have them because the pit window is shut. It's done. The only time you're going in there is to pick up broken pieces of car and weld them back on, or duct tape them back on, or whatever you need to do, or throw them in the bin. You cannot get tyres, you cannot get fuel. 13 seconds to 0.37, who's just lapped the car in 14th, which is, of course, Green. Let's have a little on board with Newton, shall we? Because he's been on board for a little while. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take all this off and we're just going to enjoy this from this perspective. Because it is awesome. Just listen to the sound of this engine. It's beautiful. Set it up for you. Sounds so brilliant, doesn't it, that engine? It's just, it's a brilliant little motor car. It's not only a little motor car, it's quite a big car for what it is. But Newton did a brilliant job with it. However, that 10-second gap is back out to 12.5 seconds. I think it's going to be very difficult to look beyond anyone at the moment, other than Turbo for this race. Turbo's been absolutely dominant from start to finish, really in control of this race, managing the pace early on. Did start to see a bit of resurgence from Newton towards the pit window opening. Then Newton had a couple of bad laps, lost quite a lot of time, and found himself dropping right back out. But since the pit stop, Turbo's been really, really dominant, really in control, absolutely chucking the necessary laps. Gap is 12.2 seconds, 0.37. He's been in no man's land for so long. No other car. The only cars he's seen are cars that he's lapped. He's really not. Apart from a brief moment when he was ahead of Newton in the pit window, and that was short-lived because Newton caught him and disappeared off up the road. But he hasn't really had anyone to race with today. Found that little niche in third. Realised he hasn't got the pace of the two out front. But also realised that he's got a pace to burn on the cars behind. Such as, Race Tech HPR. So I have to keep stopping and wetting my throat. It's murdering me. HPR, up to 5th. And you've got to say, if there were a Driver of the Day award, which is not, but if there were, I think he would deserve it. Because he's had a couple of problems. He made some mistakes early on, knocked himself all the way down to last and had to go into the pits and do some repairs to get back on the racetrack, and had to fight his way all the way back up, fought his way to the top 10, then wobbly like snakes and ladders, and all the way back out to, I think, 13th place. And again fought his way back into the top 10, this time has stayed there. Racetrack is indicating that he can go to that left hand side if he's got the pace to do so. He's going to struggle to hold him off. Into turn 1, HPR goes, he makes that move up into the top 4, goes HPR. Now we have 35 minutes left and 36 seconds to 0.37. Now HPR is on soft compound tyres. He's lapping mid 27s for the most part, low 28s. 0.37 is lapping in the high 29s, low 30s. Well, actually, say low 29s, low to high 29s. Now, HPR, if he can pull out, basically needs a second a lap. Maybe a little more. Maybe a couple of laps, get a 1.2, 1.3. But if he can do a second a lap over the next few, essentially the rest of this race, then it's going to be game on for a podium. And if he snatches a podium here, that'll be a phenomenal achievement. So the race is on. Number 1, can he keep it on the racetrack without costing himself again? And can he close? It's a 35 second deficit with 32 minutes remaining. So essentially, he needs to take, for every minute left of this race, he needs to take just over a second out of 0.37. Race Tech is 1.2 seconds behind HPI. Already we see a gap opening up. He recognised that HPI was much quicker behind him, and actually did the sensible thing, which said, look, overtake me on the left hand side. You're clearly going to be coming through. I'm not going to be able to hold you off. My race is with Budsy. Off you go, my friend. And at the moment, he's holding out well. He's 6.1 seconds clear of Budsy. He's given Budsy some significant work to do in terms of lap times. Budsy has put in a really solid 28.8 on that last lap. But I think overall they've got very similar lap times. And it's going to be a difficult task for Budsy to catch and overtake his teammate. Clint Freeman running in 7th, 3.2 seconds behind Budsy. Well, that gap is is getting bigger, bigger, bigger. Now, he has a half-second penalty, and LJ is 1.5 seconds behind. The loss is about 1.2. If he can get to within a second, or even closer, he will be stealing 7th from Clint Freeman when we get to turn 1. So, the gap is down to half a second. The penalty is half a second, and it's bye-bye Clint Freeman and hello 7th for LJ here. There he slows down. He should be putting off the racing line there. Should not be on the racing line to serve that penalty. That's a bit of a dick move, that, unfortunately. But it's done. And LJ moves up to 7th, Clint up to 8th. No foul, essentially. Venom is in 9th. He's firmly inside the top 10. 3.8 seconds behind the guy. Now, he held Clint Freeman up for 20 odd laps. Now, that's his target. 3.8 seconds up the road is the guy that he really, really wants to catch. And based on the last lap, if that is indicative pace of how it's going to be for Clint over the next few laps, Venom won't have a huge amount of time to wait before he has an opportunity to snatch 8th place. 9.8 seconds back to Speed Freak. He is 1.5 minutes off the lead of this race. Quick Kick, 3.9 back behind him. Then a 6.4 second deficit to to Tool Shed, or 7.4 now actually. He is 15 seconds clear of Carbon Boy, who is 4 seconds clear of Green. But there's your race leader. He has really opened up that gap now from, it was 6 seconds before the pit stops. After the pit stops, it was 12. For a while, Newton had closed it down to 10 seconds. It's now 16.5 seconds. Newton's still with the fastest lap at 1:26.935. But Turbo put in some very, very quick, consistent laps in those low 20 or mid to low 28s. Right, so Newton not closing the gap on Turbo, and actually the gap back to 0.37 very similar. 16.3 out front, 18.8 behind. We said that if HPR wanted to catch 0.37, he would need to be nicking about a lap, about 1 and a bit seconds per minute, not per lap, per minute. The gap is down to 29 seconds. There are 28 minutes left in this race. So he's still got some work to do, but he is taking chunks. Ideally, he'll want to get that down so he has less and less to do as the tyres are more and more worn. Also, the other thing as well, of course, while 0.37 is not going to be necessarily as quick on the lesser tyre, he will have a lot more tyre to play with come the end of the race. So what he will lack necessarily in grip per se, he will have in rubber available to him, and actually he may actually have more, but to the end of this race he actually have more grip in those medium tyres than HBR behind him will have on the softs. But it's still significant work for HBR to do. But the ball is in 0.37's court. I mean, he can do the math. He can see what that gap is. He just knows that he needs to keep that gap big. HBR is giving everything for this last 24.5 minutes. 8.9 seconds back from him is a little gaggle of Australian drivers. Just Clint Freeman makes the move on LJ. I was going to say there's 3 Australian drivers, one after the other, but LJ gets roundly dispatched by Clint Freeman, who moves back up into 7th, having lost the position to having a penalty earlier. So Budsy leads 2.1 seconds from Race Tech, 4.8 seconds to Clint Freeman, who is 1.7 clear of LJ. Then the next target back is Venom. That's 9.5 seconds back in 9th position. Trying to chase down LJ in terms of pace. Well, LJ's had a bad lap, but Venom himself had a bad lap in 1:36.2 on lap 60. We're just starting lap 63 here. 25 minutes left this race, and it's going to be an 86er or somewhere around there in terms of laps. Speed Freak, there is 3.1 seconds behind Venom. 4.9 clear of Quick Kick. Quick Kick giving up 7 seconds to the two Australian drivers, Toolshed, then 14 seconds back to Carbon Boy. And at the back of the pack is Green, he's 5.1 seconds adrift in 14th place. And just in case you didn't know, here's a quick reminder of where we are. This is the GT Champions World Cup Season 5, the first race of the series. It's the Dodge Viper GT4 at the iconic Laguna Seca, WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway in the United States of America. This is the first race of a 10 race series. What the hell was that? And this is Division 3. Now, we may see one or two of these quicker drivers, so like Turbo, like Knudsen, 037 HPR, Budsy even. We may see one or two of these drivers disappearing off into Division 2 in the coming weeks, should spaces become available in Division 1 or Division 2. We may find them moving up and then others joining us from lower divisions. We'll see what happens. In terms of what you can see with Division 3 here, Division 1 is currently being streamed by the awesome Tatiana. You should go and check that out when you can. Straight up after this, we'll once we've got our top 3, we'll have a little snooty chat with them, a little couple of minutes with them, give myself an opportunity for maybe a 5-minute break in between, and then we get cracking with Division 2 action. Same again. More Vipers, more Laguna Seca, more overtakes, more spins, more dust being kicked up, but faster drivers. How does that sound? Sound good? Sounds good to me. Certainly does. There's your race leader, Turbo, T64 Turbo, and he's 18.7 seconds clear now of Newton. Newton is he's been there or thereabouts, and for a time was keeping up with Turbo, but since the pit stop, Turbo has upped his game and just upped the pressure, up the pace, just upped everything. It turned it up to 11 and made sure, and he's now 19 seconds clear. 23 seconds back to 0:37. Now we are watching a bit of a charge. Got one eye on this charge. HBR closing at 0:37, and I've been doing the math. Now at one stage it was just over a second a minute, not a second a lap, a second for every minute left of the race that HPR needed to be taking out of 0:37. We have 22 minutes left, and the gap is almost 24 seconds. So he is catching him. The gap is coming down, but at the moment I don't think it's coming down quite quick enough. I have a feeling that HPR is going to be on the back of 0:37 within the last couple of laps, but I'm not sure at the moment, with the pace the way it is, that HPR is going to have enough tyre left, enough fuel left, enough laps left to make the overtake. I think 0:37 has just got to make sure that they've got enough fuel left to go to the end. What they don't want to do is run out and lose by default, of course. But mostly just make sure that they know where they need to defend, and be prepared to have to do that as the race culminates here at Laguna Seca. So we're on lap 66. 3 more laps and we get to have a little giggle, because we are, of course, incredibly childish. I say we, I mean me. There is Budsy, Australian driver. 11.9 seconds is the gap now to HBR, which is getting bigger. Is holding Racetech at bay. 3.4 seconds back is Racetech. Can't even see his teammate, it's so far ahead of him. There he is in the distance, just coming around in the distance. Here's old Racetech. There he is. Struggling to close the gap on his teammate, but currently running in 5th and 6th, the pair of them. There's Clint Freeman, Venom's shadow, who's now a couple of points ahead of Venom, finding some very, very consistent pace in those mid to low 129s, with the odd 28 chucked in there for good measure. Fastest lap is still a 126.9. That's a phenomenal lap time, isn't it? That's qualifying lap time during a race. Phenomenal. That, of course, was given to us by Newton. LJ 9.2 seconds behind Clint. Not really dropping into the clutches of Venom. Venom's still running in 9th, but he's 5 seconds back. And at the moment, not really lapping quick enough to be putting LJ under any sort of pressure. There is old Venom, 2.3 ahead of Speed Freak, 9.6 back to Quick Kick, 2.9 seconds back to Toolshed, and then we've got Carbon Boy, of course, 14.9, 15 seconds back from his compatriots. The back of the pack is Green, 4.2 seconds. That gap at the back kind of flits between 3 and 5 seconds on a pretty regular basis. Can Green find some form in the tail end of this race and close on Carbon Boy and nick himself another position? There's your race leader. As he says, he's just lapping. I think that was LJ, 8th place. 18.2 seconds is his current gap to Newton, a Danish driver. But we got an American driver leads the way. Dane in 2nd place in the form of Newton. 28 seconds is that gap to 0.37. It's under 20 seconds. The gap now between HBR and 0.37. 1 hour 42 minutes and 14 seconds we are into this race. That means we've essentially got 18 minutes left. So 18 minutes left and 18 seconds to catch him. So he's still on track to close that gap, but he's not on track to make the overtake. I think that's going to be the problem that HBR's got, is that he's just not going to be quick enough to get there. Because, look, let's face it, if he wants to take 3rd, he's going to need to give himself a lap or 2 to do it. Because 0.37 is not just going to wave him through and say, here's your podium, thank you very much, I'm keeping it warm for you. He's going to defend that. And he's going to be defending on tyres that are probably in a better condition than those of HBR's at that stage of the race. So I think if HBR wants to, a penalty for HBR, that's a big kick in the altogether's for his challenge for a top 3. Look, it's still possible, but now he's giving himself some extra work to do. 14.4 seconds to Budsy. That's not going to really benefit him in any significant or meaningful way. 3 seconds clear of Clint Foreman. Budsy is running at the moment, but no change really. So it's kind of fallen into that kind of race stalemate where, you know, there's a potential couple of battles on the cards maybe for the last lap, but you know, we've got to wait now essentially about 15 minutes before we're going to see any of that come to fruition. And for the next sort of 15 minutes, to be fair, pretty much the last 10-15 minutes, it's been a case of watching cars go round in a procession with the occasional overtake when someone cocks up. But it will come. I think we're going to see it with HPR and 037 in a few laps time. We'll see. There's potential across the racetrack for a couple of battles if people can close gaps. You've got to bear in mind, I mean, this different one here is going to be, it's going to be how well you can manage the racing soft tyres. And I can tell you that across the board, people have very different, very different racing soft tyre conditions. There are some drivers who will remain nameless that are in real trouble already on those soft compound tyres, that they are in the realms of oops, a little bit slippy that already. And bear in mind, we've still got several laps remaining, probably about 10. So I'd say 86. I think it's pretty close to 81, maybe 82 laps here. I think I overrated it with the 86. I think I got excited by the early pace and thought these guys are so quick, they're going to whack in some extras. Right, 19.9 seconds is Turbo's lead. That's unassailable for me. Well, to be fair, that kind of pace is always unassailable to me. But I mean, what I mean by that is that I can't see anyway. And look, even if Newton's got some left in the tank and he wants to pull it out, it's not enough to close 19.7 seconds. Behind him, no danger really from 037. That gap is 30.0 seconds. Now, HBR having served that penalty, the gap is back out to over 20 seconds. I think 037 may be safe from the HPR charge. Look, he's still got to bring it home. He's still got to keep that car safe, keep it on the racetrack. But I think HPR's given himself far too much to do now at this late stage of the race. It's just 14 minutes remaining here, which is essentially going to be about 10 laps-ish. So lap 72 begins for Turbo, for Knudsen, and now for 037. The gap is 8.7 seconds to HPR. Let's have a quick look at HPR and we'll watch him chase this down, because he knows it's in his hands now. He's 13 seconds ahead of Budsy, and it's clear that Budsy is not keeping up with him. So he knows he doesn't have to think about the car behind. Look, he does have to think about his tyres. He does have to make sure he's got enough fuel to get to the end. But he also knows that he's got a limited amount of time to close 18 seconds if he wants a top 3 spot. And as much as he has been closing, he's not been closing quick enough. I think he would have liked to have been within 10. I think if he was within 10 seconds at this stage of the race, then I think we're talking about HBR nicking a podium. I think as it stands right now, I think he's too far back, and I think he's going to be in real danger with some ropey tyres towards the tail end. Bearing in mind that 80k at 037, he might be on the slower, less grippy medium tyre, but he's going to have so much more grip available to him at the end of the race. I'm a little bit concerned about a couple of drivers, okay? And I'm going to be brutally honest. I think a couple of them have taken a bit too much out of their tyres, and were a little bit brave with the fuel. Now, I could stand corrected. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but I could stand corrected. We will see what we will see. Green at the back of the pack, he's closed right up to Carbon Boy now. Half a second. I said there was going to be some battles towards the tail end, and this looks like it's going to be one of them. He's closing up to Carbon Boy. Carbon Boy himself Not one bad lap of 33.0, but Green just started to ramp it up a bit. Can he steal 13th place? And there is a 0.37 coming up to Clapham actually. 19.6 to Toolshed, who is right up to 11 to 10th. Of course it is. He's tucked in nicely in that slipstream. Is there an availability? Is there a room? Is he going to go around the outside, up the inside? Neither. Not close enough to make a move at that stage. Potentially, though, he's getting a much better exit there. And a mistake from Quick Kick allows Toolshed to breeze through up into 11th position. Quick Kick drops back at 1.1 seconds back after a little foray into the sand, making sandcastles here at Laguna Seca. Speed Freak, 13.5 seconds ahead of Venom. Ahead of Toolshed, sorry. 5.2 seconds behind Venom. 3.2 to LJ. I don't know. I think these guys to get an overtake now are going to require something to happen up ahead. A yellow flag moment. But it's good when you can see your target, and they can still see their target. It gives you the incentive to keep going. Uh, 6 seconds to Race Tech, who's 7.6 behind his compatriot Budsy, and we've got a nice little three-way Australia train: Budsy, Race Tech, and LJ. 4th, 6th, 7th, and 8th at the moment. 1.4 seconds to Clint Freeman. And he's going to comfortably make this to the end of the race, I think. 14.3 seconds to HBR. Now, it's not quite under 10 seconds yet, but it's pretty darn close. 1:51.34 on the clock. 8 and a bit minutes to go in this race. Can he do it? Can he catch that gap? I was just trying to do some math and give you an exact number, but I couldn't think of the right number. I couldn't come to that conclusion. Far too late. Thinking about that kind of thing. 34.9 seconds between 0.37 and Knudsen. Nice big gaps separating those front three now. 26.3 seconds. I think Knudsen has realised that he's not going to catch Turbo. No point overcooking those tyres and risking losing second because he's done that rather than just settle in now. Except the fact that the T64 Turbo has just been absolutely on top of it today. But there is your race leader. He is T64 Turbo, and just coming up to lap Budsy in 6th. Lap 76 and what will probably be 80 to 81 laps, give or take. And Turbo has dominated this race throughout, and let's face it, has led this race throughout. Other than a small time around the pit window, Turbo's been out in front straight away, and no one's really. I mean, there were moments in the race when Knudsen looked like he might be catching him, looked like he might get close, and even at one stage I thought he might have even jumped him in the pits maybe, but it's never really happened for him, and Knudsen's kind of had to settle for second place behind T64 Turbo. 26 seconds behind, in fact. As we head towards the last 6 minutes of this race, there is exactly 6 minutes remaining. 35 seconds to 0.37. 8.6 seconds is the gap. Now is when HPR needs to ramp up that pace. Now, it's going to be very difficult to make the tyres last. So, just a little check just to make sure. Yeah, it's going to be incredibly difficult to make the tyres last at full pelt. And I mean, if you're absolutely smashing it, which is what you need to do at this stage if you're, you know, you've got that deficit to make up. But I think HPR's going to hold it. Sorry, 0.37 is going to hold on, and HPR's not going to get past. Clinton Freeman, 15.7 seconds back. No real battles going on for him. Budsy, no battles going on with Budsy as well, nor in Race Techs. Venom potentially putting the frighteners on LJ, just over a second behind. Speed Freak, 8.7 seconds back. Not really in a position to do anything from there. Speed Freak is 8.6 seconds back, 14.5 clear of Toolshed, 10.4 seconds from One Kick. Carbon is 6.2 seconds back. But keep an eye on Quick Kick, because I can tell you something for nothing. The last 5 minutes on those tyres are going to be a little bit exciting. I think Green's going to be in a similar position to Quick Kick very soon. We could very well see Quick Kick dropping behind Carbon Boy and Green, because it's going to be very, very, very difficult to drive the car with tyres like that. They are really, really ropey now. It's a dangerous game he's playing with those tyres. Well, I say it's a dangerous game. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't go into the pits and get fresh ones. So, of course, it's a dangerous game. But, yeah, he's in trouble with the grip. So we're just 3.5 minutes left of this race. Turbo leads by 27 seconds. Just want to look at that gap, 7.8. So it's still coming down, but I don't think he's going to catch him. Knudsen, 36 seconds back, 26.2. Right, let's run from the back forward, because this might be the last opportunity we've got to see if Carbon Boy can do anything. Mr. Green is now, as Mr. Green. Just Green. Green is past him and opening up a bit of a gap to just beyond 1 second. So it's Carbon Boy, 84, running in 14th position. 1 second back from the RWB driver Green, who is looking at some pretty ropey tyres, but should be alright. 4.6 seconds is the gap to Quick Kick. Quick Kick running on very, very ropey tyres is 12.7 seconds back from Toolshed. Toolshed for OGR. Just slowing up the pace a little bit, but it should be fine towards the end of this race without problem. Speed Freak 99. 15.1 seconds up from Toolshed, 9.1 behind LJ. And there's LJ and Venom and Race Tech all having a ding-dong battle. Look at this. Is LJ able to pull a move on Venom? Or is Venom now starting to push his way through the pack and nick a few extra points? If that's the case, then he's already got past LJ. His next target is going to be Venom. Yeah, going to be Race Tech, sorry. And that's under half a second already. He's really, really closing down on him. This is the view from Venom's car. Can he find a way past? So much quicker out of that corner. It's going to be side by side. Do either of them back out, or is this really a two-car corner? I mean, for me, it's great racing for these two side by side. but it only takes a little mistake, a little touch, and one of you is out of this race. And that would look like a bit of a nudge there, to be honest. That is a great run out of that turnout as he gets out of the corkscrew. He's up the inside here, makes the move briefly, but it doesn't stick. Can he make? He's got to try and make this move stick on LJ so he can get after Race Tech. LJ really fighting him for that though. Really wants to stay ahead of Venom. Right, we will keep a little eye on that because LJ's still getting involved with Venom there. I think Venom, it looks to be a little bit quicker than Race Tech, but can't, because he's spending so much time defending from behind, can't quite close up that extra couple of tenths it needs to Race Tech to get through. This is the final lap of the race, so let's get on board with Turbo, who's going to win this race, and win it well, I'll say. 28 seconds lead. That's a significant lead. Lap 81 for him, of course. That's a significant lead, isn't it? As we hit this magical 2-hour mark. T64 Turbo rounds his last couple of corners and will take the checkered flag. It's a checkered flag for 037. HBR couldn't close in the end. They take the checkered flag on lap 80. Oh, no, so lap 81. Turbo crosses the line, takes the win, and Newton, 29 seconds back, will take the checkered flag eventually when he gets there. ATK in third, HBR in fourth, Clint Freeman, good race from him, up into fifth. Budsy coming home in sixth. Then we'll see Race Tech in seventh, Venom home in eighth. Here comes Newton, he's going to cross the line in second. Boom Shankar, good race all round. Ninth was LJ, and 10th will be Speed Freak with Toolshed in 11th, Quick Kick in 12th, Green in 13th, and Carbon Boy in 14th position. There's your race leader. I'm going to go and see, as soon as it's finished, if I can find me some drivers. Back shortly with hopefully some drivers to talk to. I did say I was going to find you some drivers to talk to, but time is not our friend. I'm not going to have time to get them in, get chatting to them, and then get out and get ready for the next broadcast, which is in about 15 minutes' time, if that. So, there we go. We're all done. That was a great finish from all round. It was a really good race all round. T64 Turbo. Completely dominant all the way through that, and it looked uncatchable pretty much from the moment they got out in the lead of this race. Really did look uncatchable. So we're not. I think we're going to have to look at timings next week because we started late. We're kind of finishing a little bit late. Which means I haven't got time. I literally haven't got time to do it because I need to go and have a wheel and get a drink and all that before I start the next broadcast, which should be starting any time now. I want to thank everybody for joining me. It's been awesome. We're back, baby. World Cup is back. Love it. Listen, thank you so much for joining me. I've been Urban Pirate. This has been the GT Champions World Cup Season 5 Group 3, Division 3, sponsored by Metropolis and Hypre and RWB and Pride of the Dragon and Black Flag and DJ and all these other people behind the scenes and yeah, awesome. And my voice held up. Got to do it for 2 more hours, but yeah, held up. Thank you so much, and we will catch up soon.